It's this particular, I think, opportunity, this way of resolving, or at least beginning to resolve, this anomaly, this political, philosophical anomaly, the need for new types of discourses because the present discourses are proving thoroughly inadequate, and that we need to begin thinking about these types of networked ontologies, these spaces in which we are taking heed of non-humans. Now that was a very philosophically, let's say, pretentious way to say, I think we need to understand design. Now I love these because they are not dependent upon actually calculating the number of decilitres you are currently using. It's not numeric. It is an ambient indicator. And it has some understanding of the way humans relate to things, to bowls, to traditions of washing, to rolling, to weights of things, to seeing and perceiving. This bowl understands more about humans than many philosophical anthropologies. Nevertheless, one of the 5 things he says is that the beauty of design as it's practiced by designers, is that there is no such thing as design ex nihilo. All design is redesign. He says this version of design, design as redesign, is the exact opposite of intelligent design. That version of design, that design is done by the creator, creating something out of nothing, that is the fundamental misunderstanding of design. All designers are recyclers. And so it was a very long-winded way to say that is the enemy in this debate.
Doesn't it mean that you as a designer design what I would do? So you are, so to say, my values, or you decide on my values, or what in the good old times would be values? Sure.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. No, that's why the second half is starting to return to this question of a kind of communality as what is needing to be designed. But again, the argument is hedged, and it's a bit cheeky to do this. It's kind of saying what needs to be designed is what is emerging as a response to this situation. And that to some extent I am participating in its emergence rather than literally forcing this thing on people. I am choosing to accelerate that particular agenda, but I'm not originating that value. So the simplest example comes from a conversation I was having with Oliver and his wife today, that all service work is the sharing of one's body. I mean, it is direct in sort of very early Marxian version of what labour is. Labour is literally the lending of one's body to another body. A more complicated response would have to do with the interest of sharing one's identity rather than one's corpus, which is exactly what's going on with virtual selves as, for example, reputation aggregators. What happens in this particular scenario that I was showing you before is that in fact Sister Mary insists that her bad rating is merely because of some incident that's happened, where she borrowed, I can't remember, she borrowed a video and gave it to somebody else, and they want to return it, it's not her. So she gets somebody else to vouch for her. But what's happening is that her identity is being shared, in this case with a reputation economy, in ways that she has not entirely agreed with or got control over. And that this is what a lot of people are currently working on. How do I control or become more able to tolerate my multiple identities being shared and used for different purposes? But I think it's an incredibly interesting question, and I think that is where I didn't kind of get to, but that is exactly what I would think is the kind of question we need to start asking, and I would call that a philosophy of sustainability, where we start to look at this nexus between people, products, and sharing, let's say, and the way in which this triangle overlaps. So I'm saying I can't answer the question, but that is precisely what I think we need to be thinking. And the absence of design from philosophy as a consideration, except extraordinarily marginally and just recently, as well as the absence of environmentalism per se from philosophy, have been the very problem. That we have not been well enough equipped, that we are stuck with an Enlightenment version of communicative rationality in that parliament of things. And we don't actually have a designerly way of negotiating in that space.